If you know me, you probably know that I am a huge Sonic racing nutcase. I love playing any and all kinds of Sonic-themed racing games. Riders, even though that one's kind of really difficult, I've dabbled a bit in All-Stars Racing Transformed on the PS3, and most of all, Team Sonic Racing. I have played so much of that game. I really enjoyed the dialogue and the voice acting, the music, and the gameplay itself is actually super fun. The only drawbacks is the online mode is dead with a capital D. Like, I've done at least 1,000 races in that game, and I have never gotten the online matchmaking feature to work even a single time. And the roster is disappointing. So few characters, and for a racing game themed around teams of 3, they butchered both Team Rose and Team Chaotix. Not the first time they've done this, weirdly. And there is a huge missed opportunity with the Babylon Rogues. It's actually very funny this announced when it did, because I was getting so desperate about the roster that I was looking into learning how to mod Team Sonic Racing to fix it myself. I discovered that the game had the most non-existent modding scene because the code was exported in a way that was next to impossible to reverse engineer. I was gonna make car designs anyways for a potential fix to the Heroes roster. I made a car for Charmy, had just barely started drawing one for Cream when I looked up at Sega and I went, "Oh, you're making a new game? Never mind then." Cue Sega making the announcements for Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, set to release sometime this year. A brand spanking new Sonic racing game that has got fans hyped. The trailer shows off a lot of mechanics people really love about the other racing games, like the transforming vehicles from Transformed, the cool trick shots, and holy shit, the roster! Jet is back, and so is Extreme Gear. Cream finally gets rights. Sage is a surprising appearance, as is Zaz, but I don't really care all that much about the Deadly Six. I'm a bit worried that I didn't see Blaze in the trailer, but this guy is here. No offense, Saz, I'm sorry. And if you look super hard in the trailer, you will see Aikpon, Wave, Storm, and holy shit, SPO and Charmy! My fucking boys! I'm most excited about Charmy, SPO, and Cream, of course, since they were all in Heroes and snubbed of being in their respective teams in TSR. This is also exciting because some of these characters haven't been playable in ages. When was the last time we could actually play as Charmy B? Excluding shit like phone apps. There was Heroes in 2003, and I guess you could count Shadow the Hedgehog in 2005 if you have a second controller. Bro, it's been 20 fucking years, holy shit. This game also promises even more characters, hinted to be released in future DLC, which is interesting and hopeful. And I, my friends, managed to get into the Sonic Racing CrossWorlds closed network beta test. A beta build of the game that Sega invited people into in order to test the networking capabilities of the game to make sure it doesn't, explode and glitch the fuck out or melt like TSR's online mode kinda does. I've played the game for a few hours, and I'm here to give you guys my mini review of the game thus far and all the things that I'm super excited about. First off, I am not in any way sponsored by Sega. This is not an ad, I'm not being paid, these are my honest thoughts and opinions as a long-time Sonic Racing fan. Second, I only played the beta build of the game. This was very limited, only having a few features and only really being able to play the online mode, as well as only featuring a limited number of playable characters, tracks, and car parts. I have not played the full release of the game, which is bound to have way more content than what I'll cover today. This is just a review of the little snippet that I got. Without further ado, let's jump right in. There are a few different options we were presented with in the beta build. First was picking a character from the very limited beta character selection. You'll know that when this full game comes out, I'm gonna be the most insane SBO main ever, but he wasn't an option here, so instead I went with Cream as my main for the network test, because she's an underrated, adorable girly who deserves more screen time. In fact, when I was 6, Cream was my Blorbo. I was very autistic about rabbits as a kid. Then you can customize your car. Like TSR, you can swap out different parts, which each have different stats, but the cool thing about this game is that you can use any car parts with any character. You can use the car clearly meant for Amy so that Omega can have a pink Barbie car. There are a lot of cars that don't look like they're character specific, like a cute Motobug and a Victorian carriage for some reason. So you can really just have fun giving any character any car. In the full game, I'm sure you'll even be able to pick extreme gears, which is so exciting. You can also paint the cars any colors this time. There's a custom color option that gives you the full rainbow, stickers, and decals. Now for the really interesting mechanical parts. You're given a gadget custom, which essentially allows you to equip different abilities in a certain number of slots. It's similar to Secret Rings or Sonic Generations, where you have a certain number of points to spend. Each ability costs different points, and you can mix and match the abilities. I ended up going with a combo I'm sure a lot of others tried, equipping both an ability that gave me a boost when bumping into others and also an ability that gave me extra rings when bumping into people, thereby basically turning the game into bumper cars. When I eventually got on the track, a lot of the fun was chaotically smashing into each other. What a blast. The only game mode available was online races. Surprisingly, everything ran rather well. There was some lag loading into the race itself and connecting with a new match, but once the game is fully loaded in, the lag stops. I'd say that's fairly normal for a lot of online games. I also noticed the frame rate for these Chow was super slow. I'm not sure if that's intentional or not though. And in one of the races, one of the random Mobian background characters was like frozen. She wasn't moving or having any animation despite her hand being held up as if she were waving, so that doesn't seem normal. But it was only during one race and I don't even think I got footage of it, lol. Also, a few normal moments of being disconnected from a match when I assume another player quit. All in all, the online mode was very playable and felt on par with a lot of other online games in my opinion. I really like how before the match starts, everyone can send each other these cute little custom emojis with voice lines. Hooray! This made each loading session fun because everyone really liked saying hi. Adorable. Also, you do get to vote on which track you'd like to play, and then the game shuffles the votes to pick a random track from them. Now for the races themselves. This is a fairly fun, fast-paced, and straightforward racing game. It feels really smooth and fun to play. You're really able to spam the hell out of doing tricks, and it feels so satisfying. In TSR, you just kind of spin in the air during really high jumps, and if you attempted to spin on smaller jumps, you'd probably just hurt yourself. In this game, the tricks are so quick that you can pull them off a lot easier and a lot more often. And the animations are so expressive and add to the bouncy, fun feeling. Also, a lot of the items and power-ups are very standard racing items that we've seen before. The wisps are pretty much the same as they were in TSR. There are also cool items you can shoot at other players to attack them, or items to get a boost, etc. One cool one is the giant monster truck transformation, which you can get if you're behind in a race, which is a giant truck that crushes opponents, can cross any terrain, and is really just there to help you plow ahead. Speaking of the transformations, like the transformed racing games, this game has you playing in cars on land, boats in the water, and planes in the air. Each of these vehicles controls really nice. I know this is a hot take, but I never really ended up clicking with transformed like others have, just because controlling some of the vehicles was difficult for me. Specifically, the damn boats. It's not that bad, but it felt so different to the on-land driving mechanic that switching between them was disorienting to an inexperienced player. Here though, each vehicle feels a lot more straightforward and easier to use. They're different enough from each other to make the races super interesting, but not so different that it alienates you or is hard to control. The boats are actually super fun, as you can jump up in the water and that allows you to spam even more tricks. It feels like a really fun ride, and I had a lot of fun with how the racing felt. Also, this is a really random side note, but I somehow accidentally wound up in a match with the Penny Parker Snapcube.
Hello, everyone. Hello.
I didn't even realize she was streaming this game until I saw her username on my screen and then went to go check her stream for myself. I was really random. I sucked ass in that race. The main mechanic this game introduces to try to make it distinct from other kart racers is the CROSSWORLDS ring mechanic. When you race on a track, you will only really be on that track for 2/3 of the race, because as the first lap nears a close, 2 giant ring options show up as portals that we can drive through, taking you to an entirely different stage. These are randomized options, making each race unique, and the player who is in first gets to choose which course to take, rewarding them for doing so well. That's such a fascinating concept, and I think it works well to make the races feel less monotonous. As much as I love doing the same 5 pre over and over again in like Team Sonic Racing or something, it is a little boring that every time you do a pre, it feels the same. Here though, you could go to Ocean View and then you have no idea what to expect for the second lap. Several different people could play it and wind up with different outcomes. How exciting! After the second lap, it returns you to the original stage for the final lap, and you'll notice that even laps 1 and 3 of a stage have changes made to them. There's a stage that's a museum, and in lap 1 you drive through as normal, but on lap 3 all the fucking things in the museum have come to life and start blocking the path like it's night in the fucking museum. Or the Sonic Adventure 2 stage. Lap 1 you have to drive around the rocket launcher, but by lap 3 the rocket has blasted off, and you can drive directly up this ramp and do a whole bunch of tricks. The tracks themselves are super nice. Some are returning tracks like Sky Road, Roulette Road, Ocean View, etc. They are similar, yet they are remade, and they even have new remixes of the music. However, I, for some reason, am most hyped about the 2 Secret Rings stages. I don't know why, but I adore Secret Rings a lot. Not only does it have a lot of childhood nostalgia for me, but it's got a really good, underrated story. Really, the only thing that sucks about it is the gameplay, which takes some getting used to, but once you do get a hang of it, you can go super fast. Anyways, Secret Rings fans, rejoice, because we have the fucking dinosaur stage! Woo! Dino! It's a jungle! Dino! The Weird World! I can't explain why this stage makes me so happy. It just does. I fucking love the dinosaurs. I love that you drive up the back of this one just like in Secret Rings, or the T-Rex guys opening their mouths to try to eat you. It even has the infuriating fucking cactuses. Perfection. There's also the cool pirate ship stage from Secret Rings 2. Also, the music is pretty decent. Some of it has got a kind of Wii Sports vibe. A lot of it uses vocals, kind of reminiscent of some of the Olympic Games soundtracks in that way, with vocals singing whenever you get to the last round of a race. It's an interesting vibe from this soundtrack, and I can't wait for the full game's release so I can properly get a listen to the ripped songs and form my opinion on them. It's kinda hard to do that while you're racing and performing a million fucking tricks per second, so Cream is yelling, yeah, alright, woo! And I'm focusing too much on the chaos race itself to, listen to the music. By the way, I was lightly joking about the voice lines, but I really do love them. I didn't like Cream's voice in, Generations or something like that, and I'm pretty sure this is the same voice actress, but I, for some reason, like her better here. She sounds so fucking excited and happy to, be in a racing game. Or maybe it's just being in a game at all. Everyone else sounds great too. Sonic sounds cool, and I actually really like Zazz's voice too. He kept making me laugh with his punchy, yelly line deliveries. I ended up playing the game for several hours, and then I sat my butt down to write this quick mini review. It was currently less than 6 hours after the network test that I started to type that script out. I'm very tired, and I have a really busy next few days. Tomorrow I'm going to a kind of funeral service for my grandmother, and I will have to edit this video directly afterwards, so I don't know how much more time I'll have to actually play the game before the beta closes. But I've had fun with what I was able to play. I think the network connections work great, the stages are fun. I just hope we get to see more of them, because after 4 hours straight, I got a little tired of the same few locations. But it definitely was made more interesting by the CrossWorlds mechanic. It really helped to liven it up. I'm also really excited about the roster. Again, I need to play as my boy Espio! And also, I hope there's a story mode. It's not the end of the world if there isn't, but adding challenges or a story would help give us more to do than just basic races. But I know that's just because I played a beta build that is exclusively online races. Please don't think that I'm complaining about the entire game. Sega, you're doing great. Thank you for fixing whatever the fuck that last game's roster was. Please, even in the main series, I think we as fans would just like to see more of these beloved characters who don't get attention anymore. A lot of people miss Cream so dearly and were hyped to see her back. Same for Jet. As the world's biggest Chaotix fan, I may have a big gay-ass crush on Vector, but I tire of only seeing him and not Espio and Charmy, especially when Vector isn't really a main character either. We all love Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Shadow, but it's fun letting other characters get a chance to shine too. We love you. Keep making awesome games. Super excited to see what's next.